This episode of Nuff Said is brought to you by Tweaked Audio. To get awesome headphones, go to tweakedaudio.com and use the coupon code Southgate to get 30% off, free shipping, and a lifetime warranty. Or you can get there through the link on our website, southgatemediagroup.com.
In a world of heroes and monsters, one group of special individuals stand as our shield against the dangers that lurk in the night. They are the agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Nuff said. Okay, welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Nuff Said, the Southgate Media Group's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. podcast. I am your host, Charlie, the Professor Esther, and with me, as always, is my skinny rich friend.
It's Mozz.
Hey, Mozz. Welcome once again. Tonight's episode, Season 6, Episode 7, Toldja. After finding themselves in yet another gambling dilemma, a mysterious stranger offers Enoch and Fitzsimmons a ride home. Our director this week is Keith Potter. I wonder if that's any relation to Josh Potter. I don't know.
Those out there too now, right?
I'm sorry, what?
There's a couple of those out there too now, right?
Oh, yeah. Oh, are there? Did Josh have a kid?
Well, no. What I mean is, like, there's the Josh Potter that you and I know, and then there's a comedian that's becoming relatively popular named Josh Potter also.
Oh, I did not know that.
Yeah.
If I had seen that, I'd say, oh, I know Josh Potter, the comedian, because he's stand-up. For
Right.
some reason, this week, only Jack Kirby is getting the Based on Marvel Comics by credit.
Oh.
Don't know what it is. I think maybe there's an editor who's being real political right now, but I'm going to say Stan Lee helped create these characters too. So, man.
Come on now. How dare you?
How dare you, yes. Joss Whedon and Jed Whedon and Marissa Tancherian, of course, are getting our created by credits once again. Mark Leitner is our written by credit. James C. Oliver and Charla Oliver, again, our four-fisted story editing duo, dynamic duo, executive story editing dynamic duo. And as always, our hardest working person in show business is George Kitson. Yes. Just wanted to see if they have, like, who played Mr. Kitson in this. Because I was wondering, man, wouldn't it be funny if it was actually George who played Mr. Kitson in this? But
Oh, no. I've seen that actor in a bunch of stuff. Oh, although he also might be a writer.
Yeah. It doesn't look like it. It doesn't look like they have Mr. Kitson listed here. So.
Right, no, but maybe the picture on the wall of Grandfather Kitson might be a representation of the writer. That would be cool.
That is entirely possible. Yes, so we open up, apparently, the transit disc that Enoch used, dropped him off on Kitson again, and then they promptly lose the disc as some rando dude sort of picks it up.
So my thought is that random dude got transported right back to where they came from.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
And they're all up and go, hey, do you know how to build a time machine?
That is sort of like a weird dangling thread they have at the end of it. When, I mean, there's spoilers for the end of this episode. When Enoch is like, well, I'm going to go back and help my people. It's like, how? You don't have a ship to do that with.
He'll probably go, he's resourceful, but that is an interesting question. I wonder how he's going to manage that.
Yeah, unless they, like, actually just drop him off, like, at that ship. Because, really, unless the Chronotons, like, have to, like, automatically wake up in time. But we know that from Fitz had to actually physically, like, reboot Enoch. So, it's an interesting question. We'll see that maybe next week. This week, we do have a parallel storyline because, of course, as we recall from the other thing, May has captured Sarge and has brought him and Butterfly back to S.H.I.E.L.D. holding. Jocko's still in his holding cell and having some trouble breathing, it seems. At least that's what they want us to think. And again, this is one of these things where it's like I really get the feeling that had they just talked a bit more,
Yeah.
like they could have. And it's kind of annoying because it's like, although, and this is what I'm going to say. So it's annoying me that Sarge is like, I can't tell you you're not ready, and it's like, really? Are you sure? Because I think we should be able to do this without too much trouble. But this is my thing. Since the Shrike have the ability to possess people, it is entirely possible that he has been on worlds where the Shrike have possessed the powers that be. That he may have been in a situation where he has talked to people thinking that they would help him, and
You
then
know, it's like one of those time travel stories where the guy trying to change the past after 50,000 tries realizes it's futile.
yeah,
And it's one of those things. He's tried it on several different worlds to work with the people in charge, but they have too much vested game in their own power structures. And so he probably sees Mac and Shield as that they would probably not do the right thing when it came to it. Right. Again, which is like the main problem that they're having is saying that you are not comfortable with making the hard decisions, giving the lives up when you need to in order to save your planet. So I can't align with you because I know when it comes down to it, you won't do the thing that is necessary. So I need to go and do this on my own because only my crew understands what it takes to make the necessary sacrifices. That's his perspective, I think. And that's the reason he doesn't want to align with Mac.
yeah, and I do get that, but again, like I said, and honestly, I like that. Basically, they do show that the agents are no slouches. When you have when they do realize that Jocko, has the ability to breathe fire, which I thought was fascinating because, of course, we had heard that he hadn't breathed his own atmosphere in, several cycles. And we see him like inhaling, some kind of vapors on the truck. There's a part of you that thinks, oh, he needs to do that in order to live. It's another idea to think that no, it's because if he's in a too oxygen rich environment, he starts to oxidize the fire and starts breathing fire, which
Yeah.
is an interesting turn of events to say the least. And and it just but it does show that they're outthinking his escape plan. You know, Deke then hacks Sarge's iPad, which but then that gets us to what I thought was just ridiculous, which is the team going out catching the two Shrikes and putting them in a cell together. It's like, well, there's these two dots and they're moving towards each other. Okay, well, let's capture them. Wow.
Yeah, not even the police do that. If they catch you, they put you in separate cells, if you're important. Like, yeah, it was a little
It
silly.
was ridiculous, and you can say, oh, well, we didn't know they would do that, but it's like, well, first off, they want to be together because they're moving towards each other.
Right, right.
It just felt to me like a plot-induced stupidity on the part of the agents there. That
Indeed.
it seemed obvious. Whatever we do, we should not put these two in the same room together.
Right,
Even bring them to the
right.
same base is probably not a good idea. I mean, maybe you can argue they only have the one containment cell, but then it's, well, maybe we'll just put one in the containment cell and try and solve his problem. Because
Imagine their surprise. They're like these secret agents meant to carry out this task, suicide bombers or whatever, and they're like, oh, we were foiled. Oh, what? Hey, look at these idiots. They completed the task for us.
yes, well, exactly. It's the Shrikes. They just, oh, okay, well, fancy seeing you here. Um, yeah. So that was ridiculous in its own way, and then the cold stops it, I guess. So that's useful. We get a little bit of backstory on that, but it just seemed like at every turn, you know, Mac probably could have approached it better. I mean, Sarge should have approached it better too, Because again, like
Yeah.
I said, everyone's on the same page here. You know,
Yeah.
everyone is trying to solve this problem, and Sarge is just mad because it's like, no, we'd like to figure out if there's a way to remove the Shrikes from people so that the people don't die. And what Sarge could say is like, well, no, I've tried that, and I've worked with people who've tried that, and the fact of the matter is that once the Shrike's inside, these people are already dead. Which would have been just like a 5-second conversation, but then it'd be a much shorter show. So this episode has a lot of forced conflict. But then again, and again, like I said, Mac has a reason because Sarge did just randomly shoot a guy for no good reason. Sarge's excuse is, I don't know you people. I don't know if I can trust you yet. So, I guess as you start to play it out, you can see why they're in their moods, in their fighting each other perspective. But at the same time, it's like, but you do realize how that is counterproductive for you as well.
It reminds me of the situation here on Staten Island. We have way too many deer here because there's no natural predators. So there's like the population has exploded like crazy, and they're bringing with them ticks that carry illnesses that are out of this, out of your comprehension. There's one tick that makes you allergic to meat. I mean, how crazy is that? And so the solution the city has come up with is to send people out to catch these deer, give them vasectomies, and send them back out in the wild. They've wasted millions of dollars, and it has had no effect. And the solution they're contemplating now is having a controlled bow hunt. So letting hunters come in there in a controlled area and let them bow hunt these deers. I think that's, kind of a cool idea, maybe a little dangerous, but it reminds me of this situation. They don't understand that you have to get rid of this infestation, and they're trying to find the PC way out of it. But right now, that PC way does not exist.
Yeah. And, and of course, they're just deer, man. I mean, they're delicious.
Right. But our children and our animals and our pets are our animals and our children also. So I don't want, my dog getting a tick and dying. I don't want my neighbor's kids, getting bit by a tick and their life ruined. So there's a balance we have to strike.
No. Actually, I meant that, they're deer. Why don't you just, kill them and eat them?
Right. Absolutely.
Like, it's Staten Island. It's deer are not endangered species.
Right.
They could be, and maybe they should be on Staten Island. I don't know how many forests you have on Staten Island.
Oh, there's a lot of marshland and forest here, yeah.
Oh, okay. See, I don't know. So maybe the deer were there first, Although, how did the deer get to the island?
I've heard and seen of deer swimming, but it's a crazy thought.
Although to be fair, there's actually a lot of bridges because we have a lot of deer in New Jersey, but they mostly stay up in the mountains. But it'd be very easy for them to wander over, jump the toll and on the Verrazano. That's
or even the Bayonne or the Gothels.
Exactly, So
one of those I think you can walk over.
So so that would explain why you have a lot of deer there. Okay, so we've solved that problem. But then, like I said, I mean, the only way you deal with an overpopulation of deer is you have a controlled hunt because there's lots of people that like to hunt deer. They're relatively tasty for game meat.
And the people who are hunting with bows, they've been, they're not just your average idiot. These are people that are, really good at what they do, and you don't just bow hunt without years of practice and whatnot. So, you trust these hunters. Well, fair enough. But for the majority,
I guess the real worry with hunting is that you run the risk of hunters, like if you had gun hunters, that you could have a lot of random bullets flying around Staten Island, more than usual. And but then I think you just get professional game wardens to go in and just, kill the deer. We have national park game wardens whose job that is.
Or, round them up and take them to another part of the country that might be suitable and could use a population of deer that people could hunt.
No, deers are like rats, to be honest with you. It's like nobody wants your extra deer. They are cute, fuzzy. They're like squirrels. They're cute, fuzzy rats, and except gigantic. And
and they carry diseases.
Yeah, just like rats. They are cute, fuzzy, gigantic rats. And there's this new film coming out. I forget what it's called, but it's the next Pixar film. And it's like set in like a mystical world, but it's a mystical world that basically 500 years after The Hobbit, now all the elves and the trolls and the gnomes have like iPads, and you just see like the unicorns are just wandering into the city and eating the garbage. Because they're just unicorns, they're just horses with a horn on their head. Of course they're gonna eat your garbage. So
That's funny.
it's funny. It looks good. It looks good. The Pixar theory is rapidly unraveling. Although I have a theory that might save the Pixar theory, but you have to throw out the Pixar theory. But we'll get. We discussed that last night on super connectivity. Look it up. Scroll down, people. Anyway, getting back to the story we're actually talking about, the show. We have the parallel story of Emma and Fitz and Enoch back on Kitson. And I love the fact that Gemma is just so disappointed to not be on Puffset.
And the memories of the same place and pretty much congruent timelines, too. They were there at the same time. Are so different. She had to. It was pure bliss.
Well, yeah. Well, and she says, what happened to the vapor trails? It's. What are you talking about? Because I don't know if she realizes that she was hopped up on Puffs at the time or not. I'm not quite sure of that. It's an interesting question, but yeah, definitely. And of course, we saw that in the first time when her and Daisy are on the Puffs, and they go in and they just see the glowing light, and then they actually cut to the reality, and it's just the track lighting in the hall.
Yeah.
Oh, it was a beautiful show. But and our poor so they do get there. We'll get to our poor guy in the bar, because I'm so sad to have lost him. He was rapidly becoming my favorite character.
Yeah, they revisited him a couple of times, and I was happy to see him every single time.
Yes, he was awesome. He was great. Well, of course, who knows, his species might be able to grow that back. He seemed rather nonplussed about the whole event. So, I was watching Krypton recently, and apparently that's something Lobo can do. Yes.
Lobo's in Krypton?
Yeah, Lobo is in Krypton now. It was very fun. I was watching it. It was episode 3 of the 2nd season. So, yeah, Krypton's a fun show. People should watch it. I don't know if anyone is currently watching it like as a podcast on our networks here, but yeah, it's a good show. It's a good show. But yeah, so anyway, so they realize that, okay, we've come back to Kitson. Oh, and also, by the way, we're wanted on this planet.
Yeah, right.
And we just lost our means of egress, which, puts us in a precarious situation. And they're waiting for the guard to leave so they can leave the casino. But of course, as soon as the guard leaves, they go to walk out, and then all the other guards show up, because as you do. And I love how polite they are. It's like, oh, Mr. Kitson will be so happy that you return. It is just delightful. It is just delightful.
Yeah, but those are the sort of luxuries you have when you know you have someone. Mm-hmm. Now I can be eloquent and poetic and posture a little bit,
Yeah, and it is just such a trope of casinos. How polite the thugs are in casinos.
Right, because they don't want you to know you're getting robbed,
And not for nothing, they also don't want to cause a scene, obviously, because,
right.
Everyone else is in the same place, and if you really started acting a fool in there, then, people might not want to come back to the casino.
Right, and they might recognize the enterprise for what it is, a way to take your money rather than a way for you to have fun, It's like, oh, these are bad guys, it's not just a,
Yeah. I do know. I do know. But they do go, and we do meet our Mr. Kitson, who, kind of reminds me a bit of like Biff from Back to the Future in his own way too.
Yes.
It's like, well, my grandfather came here with only one brothel and a few gaming machines.
And 20 slaves.
And by the sweat of their...
And we built this with their bare hands. I love that line. That was so fun.
Well, not for nothing. This is this universe,
No, at least he didn't say we built it with our bare hands, or he said he came here with 20 slaves and built this with their bare hands.
Yeah, hey, he's honest, because he's not ashamed.
Exactly.
Why would he be ashamed? It's like, no, he paid good money for those slaves, and they did the work, and you should honor the work of those good, hard-working slaves that they you know,
Yeah.
later repurposed to be drink caddies and brothel attendees, you know. Okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's uh oh, August, yes, Steel City Comic Con. Okay, we'll talk about that later. Sorry, Phil just mentioned us that oh, Lilith won't be there for August, but you know, if we have jobs and times off, I would still love for us to go down for Steel City Comic Con in Pittsburgh in August, unless you'd rather wait till September. Anyway, let's not talk about that. That's personal stuff. Uh, sorry. Oh goodness me, I'm so sorry, guys. Back to the story. They get captured, and you know, I did find it kind of interesting their method of execution. Um,
Mm.
which is this idea that you know you have to hold the guillotine blade made of the densest metal in the galaxy, which is a cool thing to just have there. Um, you know, and then they just send Enoch to the brothels because there's no pleasure in killing an automaton. You know, it's like he's a
Right.
robot. What's the point in killing him? But what I like about that is that apparently, you know, they could have very theoretically gotten out of it. You know,
How do you? Oh, he could have.
no, I mean, yeah, Fitz and Simmons. That really all they had to do was hold the blade up. You know,
Right. Right.
you know.
Although it wasn't really up to them. You know, he had the button. He could have chose to no matter. I mean, they would have been fine until he decided to. You
Well,
know.
yeah, that's true too, because the games are always rigged.
Right.
But then again, it does just come down to you know, it's nothing personal. It is literally just business. And when the
Yeah.
woman, you know, pays him off, then he's like, okay, yeah, let him go. That's great. You know, uh,
Yeah.
you know, because why should why should he be upset? It's like, you know, because if nothing, it makes that great scene. He says, see, anyone can be a winner here at Kitson's Casino. You know,
Yeah.
no, it burns and it's contagious, but that's what we love about Kitson. Uh, and you know, uh, also interestingly enough, in that is that that woman we do see at the beginning of the episode, again talking to our favorite bar patron. Trying to remember what was his name. Is that uh,
Don't remember.
that Wayne? Maybe I think that might be Wayne Douglas Bennett. Looks like that might be him. Yeah, I think he's Wayne. So, but anyway, yeah, he's a fun character in that, and kind of actually reminds me a lot of Tom Savini from Dusk Till Dawn.
Oh.
If you remember that character.
Yeah. 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 The denim clad whip swinging vampire killer.
Well, he was in. Well, I don't know. In the first Dusk Till Dawn, he actually had the shotgun, or not the revolver codpiece.
Right, but he also had a whip.
Did he have a whip? He might have. Um, but yeah, but I just love any scene with Tom Savini, and that guy reminded me of Tom Savini. It's not Tom Savini, obviously, but it was.
But he was Tom Savini-esque.
Yes, and
In the same way that I guess Rob Zombie is Tom Savini-esque.
well, you know, it was just a lot of fun, and then I do love, but like I said, he is so nonplussed by being put in the guillotine, which is why I think we might see him again, because
I would,
it is just like you know, house always wins, you know.
yeah.
At the start, he's flirting with the girl, you know, with our eventual savior, and
Right.
you know,
He might even be a plant that, you know, that he works there. That's why he's always there. And he's like one of the crowd, and he can grow his head back. So every time they put him in here and they put, you know, if they need to, they chop his head off. He can just grow it back. I like that story.
yeah, that's a fun story. We'll see if that's what they eventually decide on. Yeah, but we do get them, and they're going to go back to Earth now because their friend wants to go back to Earth. That's why she needed That's why she was very excited to see Terrence. And I think did you see the teaser for next week's episode?
No, I did not.
Okay, well, so spoilers for next week's episode. Apparently, she is actually going to she wants to find the monoliths.
Hmm.
And they say one
Ah,
travels through space and time, and then she doesn't say what the third one does. So, dun dun dun.
interesting.
Yeah, well, it's all very interesting. It's going to be interesting to see how this all plays out. Enoch is going back to his people to try and help them. But again, it's like, why don't you just have your. That's the thing, is like, we need to go back to, our planet. It's like, well, why don't you just come to Earth? It's a big planet, heck, I
Yeah.
mean, people don't need to breathe. Why don't you just live on our moon? We got a nice moon. Can build a little city on the moon,
Hey, if they don't need to breathe and they're not really that bothered by radiation, maybe they could take on the mantle of terraforming Mars.
Well, there you go. I mean, we got 9 freaking planets here. Like, come, pick one.
uh,
But no one ever wants to just, have that easy solution, And for what it's worth, she wants to go back in time because she knows time travel apparently exists from Enoch's reports, and wants them to tell them so they can go back and fix the problem. But of course, as we know from Deke, if you go back and fix the problem, all you do is create an alternate timeline where something else happens.
hmm.
Multiverse theory. Yeah. Which is why old Steve Rogers is actually from an alternate timeline. No matter what the writers say, that they didn't bother to read the show Bible is not their problem. Josh Whedon read the show Bible. He knows that it causes an alternate. It's just an alternate universe. Then, second you go back in time, it's an alternate universe.
Wow.
That's why.
So it's almost like what Robert Anton Wilson used to talk about. Everybody has their own reality tunnel. They perceive reality in the universe in their own unique way. Everybody does. So it's like you have your own timeline, you have your own world.
Well, yeah. I mean, it is in its own way the closed loop, as I said, the closed loop of birth to death. That is your timeline, and it doesn't matter where in space time you go, you have your own individual chronology.
Yeah, and your own version of it almost.
Exactly. So, neat
So
stuff.
maybe the snap didn't fix everything for anybody but for Iron Man, or
Well, I mean, the reality is that for every universe in which Thanos snaps, is that there's 14 million other ones that he didn't snap. Because again, when Doctor Strange says, "I looked at 14 million possibilities, and only one do we win," well, it's 14 million out of an infinite number, which means it's basically 10. You looked at 10 out of infinity or 14 million out of infinity. That's still not very many.
Yeah. Right. And the other thing is he said he snapped everything in the universe, not the multiverse. So maybe he only snapped away half the population of this universe, you know?
Exactly. And in the one universe he was in, he took one action. And actually, just a little canon here is that although this didn't always be true about Infinity Stones, now it is canon that Infinity Stones only work in their own universe. Which actually means that the stones they brought to the future shouldn't have worked, but I guess because they share a common timeline, they actually could work. But there's a lot of questions that you get here when you get into the Infinity Stones, which is probably why the agents are ignoring all that, because you know what, not our pay grade, man. That's Avengers pay grade. We're the Shield around the Earth. We're the people that actually freaking Tony Stark wanted to put Ultrons in charge of.
Yeah, it's almost like they're coming full circle with the way comics work, and there's all these alternative, retellings and blah blah blah, and they're all valid and they're all fun,
Well, of course, because it's fiction. All fiction is that,
that's true.
Fiction should never make you feel mad or sad. I mean, it should make you feel sad and it should get your blood boiling, but it's just fiction, and you should never be mad about somebody else's fiction. It's like Teen Titans Go. Everyone gets mad about Teen Titans Go, and I'm like, you know what? It's just Teen Titans Go. Let it be its own thing.
Doesn't erase the past,
Well, exactly. It doesn't erase the past. Nothing erases the past. The past is the past, And this is something new, and either it's good or it's bad. But it's like no one is you can't say, oh man, the eighth edition of Dungeons and Dragons is so much better than the ninth edition. Then play the eighth edition. It's like
Yeah.
it's a pretty straightforward way to work it. But anyway, that's one theory. Okay, but that is where we leave our episode. Sarge is now sort of bossing around the agents, and I think he's going to get his comeuppance before the end of it. Interestingly enough, we had two characters who theoretically are in this episode who aren't in this episode. One is that the fourth member of Sarge's crew gets nothing in this, and our doctor isn't in this episode either, which I thought was interesting.
That's true.
Yeah, so both of them got left because again, the doctor might have been a guy who would have said, if they're moving towards each other, we probably don't want to put them in the same place.
Yeah. Maybe he's only got that day off that he's been looking for.
Yeah. Who knows? Oh, maybe that's multiple. I don't know. Anyway, so Mozz, that is tonight's episode. And if people would like to reach out to you and discuss the agents, the Shrikes, the Chronotons, or all the fun that you two can have on Kitson, how can they find you?
Oh, they can email me at mozzmanzor@gmail.com or find me on Facebook under Mozz Manzor. That's MOZZMANZOOR.
And of course, you can always write to me in that old-fashioned email way, the way our mothers and our fathers once did, at superconnectivityblog@gmail.com. That's superconnectivityblog, all one word, @gmail.com. Of course, follow me on the Twitter as I live tweet Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. when I'm not recording another podcast or something else I might want to watch, like Cloak and Dagger, which is currently waiting for the next season, or the Orville, which will come back, I'm sure. At Charlie Esser, that's CharlieEsser. Look for the two E's in the middle.
For quality. Ping.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that is our episode tonight. And as we always say when we come to the end, Nuff said.
Nuff said.